Hi, everybody. Welcome to the spotlight here on Hairdresser's Advice on this beautiful Monday evening. Chilly. We've had that cold weather kind of running across the country. So I hope everybody's staying warm. I enjoy doing these spotlights, and I wanted to let you guys know that we're going to continue them hot and heavy going into 2019. And I'll tell you, first of all, before I introduce my fabulous guest tonight, I'll tell you kind of how this works. So it's part of the Beauty Agent Network, and the Beauty Agent Network is a resource of educators and education that you can access. I know I hear all the time that somebody's like, oh, I wish there was like an industry calendar. Well, there is. It's just in a PDF form, and it really has like quite a global shows, all the shows and everything. I am trying to build an educational calendar for people to be able to access the type of education that they're looking for through the Beauty Agent Network, and then what we're calling the education agents. But if you're an educator and you're interested in participating with the Beauty Agent Network and being a member of it, you can have access to being able to have a spotlight and also post your education that you're doing in the industry on the education agents. Now, for those of you that are not educators, you have no intentions of being an educator, but you're looking for a great educator, you can just go on to thebeautyagentdirectory.com or just go on to thebeautyagentnetwork.com. It'll click you right there to Talent Directory, and you'll be able to find any industry talent that you may be looking for. And if you don't see who you want, you can pop me an email from the contact page and say, hey, we're interested in so-and-so. So they may not be showcased on the website, but they're certainly accessible if you're interested in them. And you can just reach out to me, the beauty agent, and help make that connection for you. Would love to help, because I believe that education should be the #1 selling product in our industry. And if we can continue to make education the #1 selling product, then I think that we're going to prosper more, we're going to make more money, we're going to be able to build our businesses and be able to support the clienteles that we desire to be able to support, because we'll have all the tools and all the education that we need to do that. So, all right, thanks for that part right there. Now, let me go into introducing my guest tonight. So she's a fabulous educator and a coach and a speaker. She's been in the industry. How long have you been in the industry?
6.5 years.
6.5 years, so kind of more on the newbie side than the not, but she's done some amazing things in 6.5 years. She graduated from the Paul Mitchell School in Louisville, and Louisville, you got to say that right? And is part of the Professional Beauty Association, and was a 2012 Beacon honorable mention, and became part of that entire network where the Beacon students kind of really accelerate your opportunities to get into the industry. And of course, I believe that's why Demetria Gilkey has also had some success as well. So Demetria, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, you are still behind the chair, even though you are a speaker and a coach and you're doing these other things. I've always said to everybody, I said, we as industry people never do just one thing.
No.
We are so good at doing multiple things. And I know that you're a believer in this too, but as long as you're doing those multiple things that fall under the umbrella of what you specialize in. And usually what we specialize in is the very thing that we may have had the struggle in learning at some point in our life. So I'm going to have you just start with sharing your story of how you got involved in beauty, and then we'll talk about the path that you've taken since then.
Yes, thank you. So I have lived here in Louisville, Kentucky, and I pronounce it Louisville. You're pronouncing it more right than me, but it's just the country girl coming out. So I moved up here in 2010 and was in corporate America. And I just felt like at the time something was missing. I really wanted to do something different. And at the time, the recession had kind of hit, so it was really rough. And I thought, I want to do something completely different. And I kept thinking about hair school and cosmetology and beauty and fashion. And I had always played with hair and makeup and things, but I just didn't quite have the support at first. So I went and toured the Paul Mitchell School 3 times before I finally enrolled. Every time that I went and toured, I would go back and tell friends and family, and they say, "Are you crazy? Why would you go to hair school?" And I thought, you don't understand. It's going to be so much fun. It's different. In addition, with my college degree, why not? So I finally signed up. I was so scared. I was worried that, I wasn't going to eventually do well and people were going to be right about me and I told you so. But I adjusted my mentality and my attitude and I said, you know what, I'm going to hit this. I'm going to really just kill it. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to have perfect attendance. I'm going to get involved. I'm going to set some crazy goals before I graduate school. And that's what I did. I started off part-time in the evenings at nights. It was so exhausting. Fell in love with it and then decided to go full-time, finish it out, and that's what I did.
Now, what was your college degree in?
Marketing, business marketing.
Well, there you go. I think that's a perfect blend to be a great and successful beauty professional and hairstylist in this industry, because I think we all know that you have to market yourself.
Oh, yes.
And one of the things that you market yourself as is kind of the curly coach. So you really specialize in curly hair.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some great status that you have there in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I love curly hair, and believe it or not, I didn't know that I had curly hair until I moved up here. And what I mean by that is I always had a permanent relaxer or a straightener in my hair growing up, all the way up to moving here in Louisville, Kentucky. So that's when I learned what natural or naturally curly meant. So I just stopped relaxing my hair and my real texture started growing out of the scalp and it was curly. Fell in love with it. So I started going on every single website there was, every single blog there was, watching YouTube videos. My bathroom had a huge just amount of products in it. It was unreal. Still kind of does.
Yes, all of our bathrooms do.
Yeah. And then I just started taking tons of curly hair classes, and 2 of which I'm very proud to say that I am a level 2 Diva Curl stylist in Kentucky, which is one of the really just revolutionary curly cutting techniques that you can get education on. And then I'm also certified with WeDad, which is another curly cutting company. So I can offer any of my curly or wavy hair clients one or the other. And it's a great, great income. For me, it helps boost my income. So
yeah, and curly hair has its own unique side to it, and I know that curly haired clients are sometimes fearful of just going to anybody because the hair shrinks up or it gets bigger, like all of and it could be one or the other, and you never know. So I know that being a specialist in curly hair probably has some advantages for all the clients that have curly hair, because I think it is a little bit more difficult to maneuver certain looks and and probably in some cases a little disconnected in areas in order to create shape, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to definitely, take into account the hydration levels, what's the history of the client, when was their last haircut? How do they like to style it? What kind of maintenance do they like to do? How long in the morning, are they a diffuser person, or are they just someone that when they wash it, they let it air dry and go on to work? There's so many things with curly hair that we could talk all night about.
Yes, I have kind of like that curly hair that is curly in some places and not curly in others. And when I went through a pretty severe stage of alopecia areata, when my hair grew back, it grew back really curly. So I literally had like sections this big, really curly coming out of the side of my head, while I had, my bangs, which were very straight. So it was, for me, it was like learning my hair all over again, because now when it grew back, and thank God it did grow back, I really had a different texture. And so I like being able to work with both of it, but I still have to manipulate it because it's not curly in all areas. So I've got to
Right?
manipulate some of that look, which I'm sure is pretty common with curly hair too.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's great. So, you're behind the chair, you specialize in curly hair, but that wasn't enough for you. So you decided to go into speaking. So tell us a little bit about some of the speaking that you do and the topics that you really engage in.
Yes. So I am a professional speaker. One of the things when I first moved up here to Louisville was that I wanted to be an educator before, or 2 years within graduating from cosmetology school, and that happened. And while I was educating, I would go into salons and people would say, gosh, like, how much training have you had? You're so natural with it. And I'd say, not much, but I've always been a performer. I was in a sorority, so I stepped, or, I sang in church in the choir. So I always just, I don't know, was in the spotlight. And I loved it, and I loved helping people. So I decided to get involved with my local Speakers Association chapter. And so from that point on, even now, I'm a board member. I just every month and biweekly we meet and I learn about how to improve your speaking and, technically and growing your business and your brand. So some of the things that I enjoy speaking on are attitude. So adjusting your mindset so that you can get wherever you want and achieve your goals. That's really important. Kind of behind, I follow like the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And attitude is, like I say, it's so important because it has allowed me to get where I am trying to get, and I'm constantly pushing myself forward because I have this, what I call a determined to succeed attitude. I'm so determined and my mindset is so focused on making sure that my attitude is positive and I'm willing to just push forward. So attitude is a really big one, combined with goal setting. A lot of times people, they have these dreams and they want to have these goals and things and hit them, which is great. Everybody should have a goal no matter how big or small. But the only thing is some people just fail to write it down and they fail to clearly define what goal setting really is. And they fail to, really have a plan how to get there. So I really enjoy doing like goal setting workshops, one-on-one coaching with my speaking to help people reach their goals. And then I also like to go in sometimes and do team building for salons, especially those that are maybe having challenges with new stylists are coming in versus the seasoned veterans. Sometimes it can be intimidating on both sides, and there's a big mess going there. So I like to go in and help with communication, but it all falls down with, attitude, your soft skills with communication. So.
Let's talk about attitude first, and then I want to talk about goal setting, because this is the perfect time of year that we should be, setting those goals and really looking at what are the things we want to accomplish. And I can tell that you're very motivated and inspiring and wanting to accomplish some things. So that's a good trait to have as a speaker and a coach. But the attitude in our industry, obviously we're on Facebook, we're on social media, we're reading these posts on the forums like we're on right here. And boy, I tell you, sometimes attitude is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that what we do is we end up labeling people, the millennials, the inexperienced, the old timers, the victim, the villains, the heroes. I mean, I think we can label people all day long in regards to some of what's happening, but how do you see the attitude of the industry faring at this point?
It's very interesting you talk about that because I'm often in groups and blogs and I read comments from new and existing stylists. And you're right, the attitude is very interesting. When I was in school, and even now I still see it going into the school and meeting the newer stylists or the ones that are coming out. Unfortunately, I feel like our newer stylists have this mentality, or maybe they've been told this, that as soon as I get out or as soon as you get out, you are going to make six figures within a year or two. And I think, it's not setting them up 100% with success. You're going to have to work really hard. Always, but especially your first few years to get a good, stable income, stable clientele, have financial stability. And then, so unfortunately, people, sometimes get discouraged and they leave because of that.
Oh, yeah, a lot get discouraged and a lot leave. I mean, the percentage is so high today of not being able to do it. And so there is this dichotomy of what it really takes to be successful in this industry and what we think we have already to be successful. And so, here's somebody like you, you're 6 years or so out of school, and you have a perspective now. But at what point was that crossover for you when you went out into work in a salon and you realized, wow, okay, this is a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be? And what did you do then to kind of stick it out?
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I was discouraged at many points in my career. And sometimes I still get that way. It's human nature. But when I got out of school, I automatically went and did an apprenticeship program where I was paid an hourly rate versus just going straight to booth rent, which I think is a big mistake. And I don't think anybody should do that.
I think it has a very low success rate if you try to do that.
Yes, I think everybody should either, do an apprenticeship and or be an assistant. Put your pride to the side and do it and learn and grow under a seasoned person and get a mentor.
And get a feel for the culture and the environment that everyday stylists are in. Now, I know each and every salon has a different feel and a different culture, but any salon that you go into to kind of just see, how does it work? How fast do you have to move? How do you gain speed while learning new things to be able to accommodate the client? I mean, all of those things are really more of the experience than being a good hairdresser at the get-go.
Yeah. And one thing I also learned, so I was I don't know if you're familiar with, but it's called Soulless Salon Studios. So the last 4.5 years, I was at a Soulless Salon suite. I'm currently not now, but I was. And the reason that I bring that up is because they're growing and they're huge and they allow freedom for stylists, which is amazing if you're at that point. But that was my moment too, because I had to, when I signed my contract, I had a little bit of a decent clientele, but nobody was going to feed me clients anymore. I was going to have to get out there and do it. And so that was probably my turning point 4.5 years ago, was to get out there and market, put my business cards in Kroger's, like the little bulletin boards when you walk in. I always had my hair done. When people would see me, they would say, "Who does your hair?" "Oh, I do my own hair." "Really? What's your name?" "My name's Demetria. Here's my card. Would love for you to come see me." I would be active, on social media. I made sure my pages were always up. I was always posting pictures of my work. I was constantly out there. I was at the beauty shows learning and growing. And one phrase that I always say is, if you are not learning, you are not growing, which is the other side of our veterans and seasoned stylists that unfortunately they get in this mindset that, I know it all. I don't need to go any classes, which unfortunately it hinders you from trends and growth. Financially, you're just pretty much pinning yourself. So
it's so true. So there is that point, you knew that when you weren't going to be fed clients anymore, which is very intrinsic to a suite environment. When you're not being fed clients anymore, you gotta have that grit. You gotta have that go-getter mentality, that attitude of winning and surviving. And I think what happens is that if you don't have enough business to keep you going, you can be motivated to do that. But what I've also seen on the other side is that people with great clienteles don't nurture their clients enough in these sweet environments, and then they lose them because they're not available as much. They kind of, maybe aren't working as hard. They're not still nurturing referrals and upgrades, retail sales, like all of those things that happen in a salon environment. Yeah. And although the client may not want the upgrade or want the retail, or is willing to be flexible with your schedule, sometimes you're in business.
Yeah.
And business means business, and the client gets to dictate some of that business style that that you're in. And so I see a little bit of the customer service level really getting downgraded.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I really, really, for me, when I was in that environment, I wanted to make sure that I created a guest experience that made my guests say, wow, I cannot wait to come back. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't triple booking 3 roller sets at a time or 3 flat irons at a time, and making it uncomfortable. It's a sweet environment, so I wanted it to be it's more
very intimate.
Yeah, very intimate, one-on-one. You know, some of the people that I serviced were executives and, you know, high-level clientele, and I wanted to make sure that they were receiving, you know, that experience that they deserved, and, you know, the price that I, you know, provided, you know, were my prices, you know, that it matched the experience.
Yeah, yeah. So you're not in a suite environment anymore. You transitioned back into a salon.
Well, so I'm in a room environment. I rent a room. There are other stylists that rent rooms as well, but it's just closer, honestly, to where I live, and it's even bigger. And it's really nice.
Yeah, perfect. So it's not really a suite environment. It's not Soulless suite. So you're back in. You're just in a different environment then. Yeah. And part of that is now you have a good flowing clientele. And you are also, you know, doing speaking engagements and coaching and everything. Now I want to go back to, I think sometimes when we've all had some of the same struggles. I don't think there's one hairdresser out there that hasn't had the same struggles of building a clientele, keeping a clientele, increasing prices and fear of losing clients, all of that. We've all had those struggles. It was part of my transition to go into the business side of the industry and not continue to do hair as well. But I think that somebody like yourself, Demetria, having, you know, 6 years out of school, I think that you're closer to helping people succeed than maybe somebody that's a veteran that's been, you know, has had a built clientele for 10, 15, 20 years. I think, of course, that they probably have amazing business skills, but I think you really found a niche in being able to help people to make that transition, how to be able to grow and, you know, and find that success in those first few years in order to stay with it. Because I know once people are in it, they love it. But the love has to also be able to match the income that you're able to produce.
Yeah.
And we all know that there's many 6-figure hairdressers out there, and anybody can be one of them. But I can tell you it's because they've worked really hard to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they found the right environment to be in order to make that happen.
And so, you know, there is no perfect environment. That's one thing that I learned. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to lie to you. When I first got out of school, I did my apprenticeship, and then I went to a few salons looking for the perfect salon, and I never found it, and I never will.
No.
So you just have to, you know, be honest and real with yourself. Know that nothing is perfect. Be the best person that you can be. And if there is an environment that you're in that isn't, you know, aligning with your goals, if your manager or salon owner doesn't really care about your growth, there's no education there, that is a red flag. Then you need to go. But understand, like, these little tips between stylists that sometimes happen because you're up under each other all day, every day, they're going to happen. It's just called life. You can't leave every single time something happens.
Yeah. So what's a message you want to share to the people that might be kind of in that same timeline as you? Maybe they've been in the industry for 6 years or less. What's a message you want to give to them on attitude, to be able to kind of encourage them to, you know, stick it out, stay with it, find the right tools, the right education, and maybe the right location?
Yes. So yes, definitely finding your right salon home is important, because if you're miserable every single day that you go in, not only is it going to impact the people that you work with, it's going to impact the people that you service. Your guests are not going to get the full 100% experience that they deserve and that they are expecting when they come in. Go to some hair shows. This is huge.
Yes, thank you.
Ah, I've been in
They're still valid and they're still relevant, and you can get a lot out of a 2-day show if you plan it correctly. I'm telling you, a lot. And it's the best value to get education out there.
And you meet people and you network and you get excited. You see the new trends. You see how excited other people are, and that energy feeds off of everybody. So I would definitely say stay on top of your education, and that's really crucial. And then if you don't have a social networking page, or excuse me, social media page, you need to get one ASAP. People are going on, especially Instagram and Facebook, to find their hairstylist, to find their new salon home.
It's the new directory.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the new yellow pages for finding a good hairstylist in your city. So it is critical and it's crucial to be able to have that business page, showcase your work, showcase your beliefs, showcase what your focus is. Like, I'm sure, you being a brand, your brand being curly, you're showcasing all of the expertise in curly hair, and that's who you're going to attract. So I think part of the problem too that people have is they want to be all things to all people. And it's okay to specialize. You can do all things. It's not to say that you can't cut somebody with straight hair or men or whatever the case is, but you have to specialize in something, because that's going to attract the type of clientele that you want. And then from there, you can ask for referrals, and, they have friends, they have family, and then you're going to have more of that diverse clientele. I think it's an easier way to be able to grow a business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say just don't give up. Don't give up on this industry. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yes.
So don't give up.
Yeah. And it's not easy, because it does constantly evolve. I say to all my people, especially on these type of programs on Spotlight, if I had to go back behind the chair and do hair, and if a client came in and was like, "Oh, I want to do a balayage," I would be like, "What? We're going to foil today, because that's what I know how to do." So, these are the things. Clients are savvy today. They're asking for these type of techniques. So get trained. Find them. Yeah. You have to, specialize in, go do a training class in curly hair or razor cutting or men's cut, whatever it is. Be diverse in your educational investments, and definitely make the investment in it. All right. I want to spend the rest of our time here that we have. Let's talk about, some goal setting. So, as a speaker and a coach, I know one of the things, like you said earlier, that we don't write enough down. And I'm always shocked and amazed at what I write down in what I want to achieve, how much of it comes to fruition, because my energy is focused on it.
Yes.
And it's not random, but writing it down obviously has a pretty big impact, because I know that it's like the goal could be something here, but there might be 5, 10, 15, 20 steps that I have to do in order to reach it. The only way I know how to do that is one piece at a time.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about goal setting. So going into this next year, talking with our stylists, talking with, even salon owners, like, what are some things that you can help them with in regards to goal setting and having the success that they want for the new year?
Yeah, so I think now is a good time, and I have an article coming out soon, so I'll have to post that in our group if it's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, post it in the Beauty Agent Network group.
Okay. Yeah, I sure will. So now is the time often that people start self-reflecting. They get ready for the new year. They reflect on their life and what they want to change. Do you want to stop smoking or stop drinking, or do you want to lose so many pounds? It's all of these goals. And as far as the beauty industry as a stylist, this is the time where you are, this is our busiest month of the year, first of all. So it's crazy. So we need to figure out, where you are by the end of this year and where you're trying to go. So what was your income, would be a good one. How much goal percentage wise are you trying to increase next year? That in and of itself, for service dollars is a goal setting, goal that you can have for yourself. If you want to improve by $5,000 or $10,000 in your income for next year, then that would be your goal. Or if your retail sales was just not enough this year, you missed it by so much, we, look at it and see why. Did you offer it to every single person that sat in your chair? Did you allow them to smell it and play with it and use it? There's a lot of questions that go into why you did and didn't achieve that goal. And let's be clear, it's not to beat yourself up about, it's not to get in a pity party about and get depressed about it here. It's about being realistic of where you are right now and where you're trying to go, and putting a clear plan, writing it out and monitoring that and measuring that and getting there.
Yeah, that's true. And continuing to break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces and parts, every day. Like I really found that, kind of working backwards is, an amazing process. And, and part of that was, being an event planner for all those years. I mean, that's really what you had to do. So you were looking at a very future date of an event, and then you had to kind of work backwards on all the things you needed to do in order to prepare for it and to have it be a success. And I really think that event planning was probably some of my greatest training of achieving goals, because once a date is set, there's no moving it. We're producing an event that thousands of people were showing up to in the industry, and you don't move the date. So it's locked in. And I think what happens is that we don't have that firm date of saying when we want to accomplish something. And you could say, by the end of next year, I want my income to be this. But really what you should be saying is, by the end of next year, I want my income to be this, which means that I have to do this every month, this every week, and this every day in order to achieve that. And I always think if you can bring it down to the smallest denominator, the greater level of success you can have. And sometimes the success happens in spite of you. And like you said earlier, it's like that law of attraction type of thing. Like if you are focused on it, you attract it.
Yep. You'll constantly think of it. So a good example too is in April of this year. So I had an aha moment. For years, I used to dance years ago. And then when I quit dancing, I gained a lot of weight. And so in April of this year, I was watching a lot of my videos footage from speaking engagements. And I looked at myself and I said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I've allowed myself to let myself go. Yes. Do I think I'm beautiful? Yes. Do I love myself? Yes. But my health is starting to be in danger. And I've allowed myself to I'm letting myself go. So in April of this year, I decided to get healthier. So I have lost almost 40 pounds to this date. And I broke it down in 10-pound increments.
Congratulations.
March of next year, I'm hoping to be down 60 at least total, but 60 is my for sure number. So that number is what I'm focused on. So if I'm in the kitchen, and like we did have thin crust pizza the other night, I wanted another piece, but I said, you really are full. At this point, you're just being greedy. So And I thought about the goal and I said, you know what, girl, March is approaching. Get it together. Remember why you started and all of that. But it's all goal setting. It's all focusing on the number. It's attitude. It's all of those things. And just thinking about in the beauty industry, what would happen if you really just applied, and adjusted your mindset and your attitude towards your career in the beauty industry, especially for the people that are in a rut and the people that just say, forget it, I'm done. Just imagine what great things can happen.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity. You know, it's endless. It's not like you have a 9-to-5 job and you have a salary and you're only going to make this much, and maybe or maybe not you're going to get a raise going into it. I mean, there's so much opportunity and a tremendous amount of freedom, but it does come at the cost of being present with yourself to be able to do the things you say you want to do. And it kind of goes to that. You got to walk the walk and talk the talk. If you want to be $100,000 a year hairdresser, then you have to figure out, you know, your price structure. You have to figure out how many clients that's going to take. You have to figure out, you know, what type of services are going to warrant, you know, the bigger ticket items. You're going to have to, you know, make sure that you are upgrading your clients or charging them appropriately. You know how many stylists I know that probably use 2 or 3 different colors on the client and don't charge extra for it. Because they're afraid to even have the conversation. So, you know, for those of you that are afraid to have the conversation, work with people like me and Demetria, who are coaches, to help you in your communication skills, be able to have more powerful conversations with your clients to where they say yes. They say yes to you. And listen, most of the time we're not even asking. You know, asking for the sale, or asking to be able to, you know, for the client to be able to, you know, make that bigger contribution type of thing. So I think there's a lot you can do with it. I'm a big fan of goal setting. I get it. I am also a big fan of vision boards, and I know that probably, you know, some people are doing it on you know, Pinterest and stuff like that. I've always physically done them. I have sat down with my glue stick and my scissors and create it, and I put it up in front of me because I have to see it.
Yep.
You know?
I have one right over here. It's a little baby one. Then I've got the big ones in the closet. Me and my husband, every January, we do vision boards. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, he's like, oh, do we have to? I'm like, yes.
Yes. But I'm shocked at the things that come to life for me based on my vision boards. And sometimes it doesn't happen right away, but something will happen and I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I had that on my vision board 2 years ago. But you know, now at this point, I'm doing them online and then printing them out. Not physically sitting down with my glue stick and being crafty girl, but I find the pictures online. I build it up on, you know, on a blank canvas, print it out. And then of course, you know, I have a JPEG of it. So it's in my phone and it's always there. And I'm a big believer in that approach as well, because I think that kind of ties back into that law of attraction too.
And I think that a vision board or a goal setting part of it is something that, you know, you can do in a salon. You know, you and your stylist can get together on a Monday if the salon is closed, or the Sunday evening, you know, get some wine and some pizza and some cheese and crackers, whatever you guys like to eat. Get some old magazines that you're going to throw out anyways, or hopefully recycle. And, you know, that could be a team building opportunity for you and your stylist and the salon manager.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, don't have high expectations of what it needs to look like or how big it needs to be or how many pictures it has to have on it, but give people a chance. I know that one of the things that I do is I kind of create a brand word for the year. And this is always my show on Beauty Inside and Out Radio, my first show in January, that I talk about what my word's going to be. And honestly, even at this point, you know, we're a couple weeks before the end of the year. I don't know what it is yet. I have some ideas, but it's like it hasn't hit me yet. So I'm very focused on what is that word that is going to be my intention going into the year. And then of course, you know, and this is what I carry around. I don't know if you ideas and intentions. So it's, you know, I carry this around with me everywhere I go and make those notes and keep track of those things that I see, you know, being able to happen. But so let's talk about then what you can offer salons and schools and hairstylists. You said that you're coming out with an article, right?
Yeah. So I have Yeah, written an article. I like to write them once a month, so I can definitely post that in the group that
Yep. So the Beauty Agent Network group. So if you're not a member of that group, you guys join us there too. And then Demetria will put her monthly articles up in there to be able to help us out with everything. And then tell us a little bit about the type of education and programs that you can offer salons and schools.
So some of the classes or workshops that I like to do, one of them is surrounding consultation. So a thorough consultation is so key. And you guys know, to getting things right or wrong, unfortunately, or even upgrading someone. So I have a great workshop surrounding that. How to increase your retail sales is another one. I also have a really killer team building class that I love to do for salons, and bringing everybody together and working better together and improving communication. That's the whole goal of the team building class that I like to do.
I love that. Yeah. And listen, I know that Demetria is up on the Beauty Agent Network, and you have a direct link to her. So if you go onto the page, the Beauty Agent Network, and then hit Talent Directory, you'll find Demetria under Business Speakers. And you can click on it and communicate directly with her on maybe some ideas of going into some classes and programs for your salon this next year. But Demetria, tell us how they can reach you directly as well.
Yes, so my email is Demetria, so that's Demetria and it's my name, so Demetria Gilkey, DemetriaGilkey.com. And I also want to share that I'm offering a complimentary discovery call for anybody who is interested in speaking with me. And this would be, like I say, complimentary. You don't have to buy anything. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I literally just want to talk with you and assess, your mindset and where you are as it relates to goal setting and attitude and the beauty industry and as a career. So if you're interested, you can just email me at what I just said, Demetria at DemetriaGilkey.com. In the subject line, just write discovery call and we can go from there.
Perfect. I'm going to put it on here.
Okay.
I'm going to try to type it correctly. So share with us a little bit more while I'm typing, because I seriously cannot type and talk at the same time.
That's okay. I'm trying to think of something. I think it's important. One final thing that I would say is, in the beauty industry, sometimes, and I read it in the blogs, that we can get very down on ourselves or discouraged when we have an upset guest, when we don't get it right. I've, made mistakes. I'm still going to continue to make mistakes because I'm a human being. I can't please every single person that gets in my chair, but what I can do is make it right and respond professionally. And sometimes either in our industry, we don't respond professionally, or maybe we just don't know how to respond. Or maybe we don't know whether we should give a refund or not. So those are some of the things in another workshop that I am available and I can talk to stylists about. But, I want to leave with this, that, we are all human beings. Nobody is perfect. Always do your best and be your best. And I think your customers will sense that you're really trying. And never be afraid to ask anybody for help. Put your pride to the side if you don't know how to do something and ask for help.
Oh, we're terrible.
Yes, the worst thing you can do.
We really are terrible at that.
Yes, it's just to wing it, and then something bad unfortunately happens, and now you've got an even bigger challenge on your hands. So there's nothing wrong. That's what we're there for, is to help each other out.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so I'm putting my page up here as well, everybody, and then join the group. So it's the same name, the Beauty Agent Network, and I'll have to approve you into it. But no problem. And then Demetria will post some of her articles and everything in there as well, so that we can share the wealth and continue to
Yes.
keep educating ourselves as much as we can. And thank you, Demetria. Thank you so much for everything. I'm excited. You're a 6-year veteran in this, and I think that you have a pulse on what it takes to be successful and what it takes to not be successful going into it, because you've had the struggles as well.
Yes, thank you
And
so much.
that was one of the things that I put in here. Do not go into the new year struggling.
No.
So thanks everybody for hanging out with us here. So I have a radio show that I do. It's a consumer beauty radio show, but I've got a special show that I'm doing on December 20th. So it airs at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And you can go to beautyinsideandoutshow.com. And I'm going to be talking about going into the new year with having a distinct brand. Like Demetria she focuses in on curly hair. So we're going to be talking about being able to develop that brand and making that a powerful experience to be able to make that connection with you. Because listen, success is all around, whether you're in beauty or you're a beauty consumer, or you're a lawyer or an accountant. You gotta narrow down what you do really well and make that offer available to other people. So we're going to be talking about that. It's the beauty of having a relationship with you. And then, of course, be sure to join us. We're going to go into the new year with more spotlights. We've got more guests coming on. If you're interested in hiring Demetria, you can find her on the Beauty Agent Network and a selection of other talents as well. And if you're interested in being a talent, then just send me an email, and that's bonnie@thebeautyagents.com. So we're signing off for tonight, but I'm signing off for the year, and taking the rest of the next 3 weeks, chilling out a little bit. But while doing that, I'm going to be preparing going into my 2019 year. So, yeah. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you in the new year. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.